you go. Oh, now we're going quick. Watch the road, not the camera. It's a beautiful day. Waterton National Park, Canada. Cameron Lake. Avery and I skied. Avery ran all the way to the lake, 2.5 kilometers. And then we met Dad on the way back. And then I skied with Dad for a little bit, took the trees, had some fun in there. And then I skied back up the road, found Dad, and now we're almost back at the parking lot. And I'm at the bottom of the hill, so I'm near my poles now. Hello! And welcome to the Lone Larch Podcast. Most random location ever. We're sitting in Jared's truck outside of Emmy's gymnastics class. I have an hour and I'm hoping that I can record a podcast and then go get her picked up and dealt with. Maybe I'll talk about that another time, but oh my goodness. Registering her for this gymnastics class has been an absolute mess. And can you tell I'm a little bit frustrated and just trying to smile it off? Anyway, she's in there now and everything's fine and I'll get it sorted out. But, so, it's actually really warm in here. I didn't think I would be warm enough in here, but I am definitely warm enough. So, hopefully you can hear me and not the whirl of the heater. Today is a day, January 12th, and it's episode 27. Hi, welcome. So, I've been gone forever, doing many things. And it's been really fun. Christmas obviously happened. We've been running all over creation, seeing people and adventuring. The holiday train came through Olds, which was very cool. If you don't know what the holiday train is, CP, is it called CP or CN now? I don't even know. CP, Canadian Pacific Railway. They have a train that goes all over, I think Canada, maybe, I'm sure they have more than one, but the one that came to us goes all over Alberta and I think into BC a little bit. And there's a band that is on that train, and there's lights all over the side of the train, Christmas lights, and there's some passenger cars behind where I think like CP employees can get on it and go for the ride through Alberta or whatever. I really want to go on the train. I think that would be amazing. I didn't know that you could go on it, so when it pulled up I lost it and tried to figure out if you could go on it, but apparently it's only for employees. Whatever. So that was really cool. However, it was like minus 32 out that day. We were completely bundled up. There was hot chocolate and cookies and Santa indoors and stuff like that. But we didn't actually stay outside for the holiday train for the concert part of it for very long because it was minus 1,000. So we went home and Emmy had a play date with one of her friends instead. It was fun. We went to Drayton for Christmas. Jared's little brothers live in Drayton Valley. And we had a fantastic time. It was the first time that they had ever hosted Christmas, and so they went full out. Cam is a very good cook, and he's trying to learn how to cook even better. He's quite a good cook, so I mean, he wants to improve obviously, but he did a really good job. Lots of really amazing meals. Jared did some cooking too. I even cooked a little bit. Christmas dinner, which was kind of scary, but it was great. It worked out well. It was really low-key. We played Nerf guns and we ate candies and baking and good meals and opened presents and cuddled with kitties and just had a fantastic time. We went tobogganing too, which was really fun. They have a really good tobogganing hill just down the street from their house, literally a 2-minute walk away. So we went over there and Watson came with us and chased us down the hill, and Emmy took off and played on the park for a little while when she was over tobogganing. That was really fun to get the boys out and flying down the hill on inner tubes and stuff. It was very fun. Sorry that beep is going to be annoying. It's the Chip and Jared's truck and it drives me crazy on a good day. Maybe I'll just turn the truck off and try not to freeze. So we did that. That was great. We stayed there for I think 4 days, and then we came back home for a little while, had a couple days to kind of recuperate at home, and then we packed up again and went back down south to see my family. They live sort of near Pincher Creek. If you know where Glacier National Park is in the States, they live just on the other side of that, which is Waterton National Park. They live just north of Waterton, so they live very close to the American border and very close to Waterton. So we went down there and we also had great food, and we went for a ski. Me and my sister and my niece and my nephew and my dad went for a ski. Some of us snowshoed. Avery just ran the whole way. It was insane. The trail, we went to Cameron Lake. The trail I think is 2.5 kilometers to the lake, and then 2.5 kilometers back. And Avery literally just ran the whole way as I skied. I skied as, well, not as fast as I could the whole way, but for at least half of it, just him and I went off, and I was skiing as fast as I could, and he was just running as fast as he could. He is an amazing kid. And we got there, and we did a little happy dance on the ice, took some pictures, and then turned around and started looking for everybody else. We ran into my dad not far from the lake. So Avery took off, and then I kept going with my dad to the lake so that he could make it. I mean, he could have made it without me, but just so he had company. And so that was really awesome that he made it all the way to the lake and then back. It was great. It was a fantastic ski. It wasn't very cold. I think it was only like minus 7 or 8 maybe. It was the perfect skiing weather. So that was great. And just skiing with my dad, we had some pretty great conversations about everything. I took off into the trees for a little bit and did some some singing and some frolicking, and it was fantastic. And I love being on my skis. What else did we do? Oh, puzzles. My dad loves puzzles, so I got him a puzzle for Christmas. And I spent a lot of time at the puzzle table doing a puzzle. And we have since brought that home, not the puzzle, but doing puzzles. We pulled out a bunch of Emmy's bigger puzzles that I thought were too big or too hard for her. We started doing them, which is great. I don't know why I don't do more puzzles with her. I need to get over myself and do more stuff like that. Or not get over myself, but realize that not all the things that I need to do are as important as doing a puzzle with Emmy. You guys know what I'm talking about. We did 2 3D puzzles last night, and it was fantastic. But I don't like the 3D ones, really. Not like the 3-dimensional ones, but like the ones that have the weird, if you look at it from different angles, it changes the picture, those kind. I don't really like doing those kind of puzzles, so we need to find some other ones that aren't so that. But great times. What else did we do? Went to visit Chris and Leanna. Chris is my brother. I made Chris the socks. What are they? Weasley Homestead socks? Yes, I think they're the Weasley Homestead socks. I made him those socks, and I made Leanna an auspice by Northbound Knitting, and we took those to them. The first visit we went on. Had a great day. Played with Chris. I helped Chris work on a Christmas present he was making for Leanna. So we got to spend a little bit of time together. My brother left home when I was very young. I think I was only 9 or 10 maybe. I was quite young when he left. So I didn't really get to know him very well. And he left and like moved across the province, and we didn't see him very often. And then he moved to Toronto, and then did his chiropractic school there, and then has now moved back to Calgary, which is an hour away from me. So it's been really awesome since he's back in Calgary. Like 20 years later, I've had the opportunity to hang out with him and actually get to know my brother. So that makes me really happy. I quite enjoy it. And Leanna is just... Okay, so Leanna started crocheting. She took a class from Stash in Calgary, the yarn store in Calgary. She took a crochet class, and she has completely gone over the top with it. She loves it. She's making toques. She's working on a poncho right now. She just wants to make all the things, and she wants to start knitting, and it just makes me so excited. She sends me texts like asking me these different questions about gauge and everything, and I'm just so excited for her because she's totally being recruited to the dark side. I love it. So yeah, blah 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 blah. And then the last skiing adventure I did, we went to... There's a cross-country ski club in town here, or group. It's an email list, essentially. The guy that runs it, his name is Warren, he put out an email saying, I'm going to Kananaskis. Does anybody want to come with me? I said, yes, I do. So, me, not a retiree, and 4 other retirees. I like to say that they're the retirees and I'm like the seasonal retiree because I don't work very much in the winter, obviously. So seasonally, I am retired, but not at all because I still work. But I can actually go. I don't have to stick to a work schedule, so I can go during the week when they go. So, rant. Anyway, we went for an amazing ski. We went to the Pocatera area, which is a place that I'd never been before. I've been just around Kananaskis Village and like the Nordic Center in Canmore and up Spray Lakes and all of that, but I'd never been to Pocatera before because by the time I got to Kananaskis Village, I just want to ski after driving 2 hours, right? I don't want to drive anymore. It's only like 20 minutes up the road, but I just want to ski, so we usually get out at Kananaskis. So we went to Pocatera and we went up to Elk Pass and then back down, and it was cold. It was minus 15-ish. My hands always have the hardest time trying to stay warm, but I mean, you keep moving and you're fine. Oh, there's a person walking by. So yeah, after a bunch of kilometers, like 8 kilometers, 2 of us decided that it was time to turn around. My hip was starting to bother me, and his leg, he had knee surgery, I think, so his knee was starting to play up on him. So we decided to turn around, and then the rest of them kept going all the way up the pass. But it was fantastic because we ski at exactly the same pace, and he is a huge lover of nature as well. So he's constantly wanting to stop and look at the babbling brook going by and the gorgeous trees and everything that I want to stop and take a picture of. So it was awesome to be with him for the second half of it. And now I'm not going to remember the name of the bird. We stopped for lunch just at this little creek, and there was a tiny little bird. I think it's called a dipper. That's one of the common names for it. I looked it up in my bird book and now I can't remember, but it's all black. And in the summertime, they'll go all the way under the water in these shallow little streams. They'll go all the way under the water and dive for bugs and bits and pieces and algae and whatever else. But this guy, in like -15, this tiny little black bird is diving under. He didn't go all the way under, but he was putting his head under, and you could just see his little tail feathers popping up the back. He's going under and popping back up and then walking over here and going under and popping back up. And I'm thinking, like, I've got so many warm clothes on and I am freezing out here, and he's just jumping in freezing cold mountain streams and just going along his merry day. I was just totally amazed. So Dennis and I sat and watched him for, I don't know, maybe 10 minutes, and then we got too chilled, so we kept going back. But it was fantastic. So by the end of it, we did 16 kilometers, which is a big day for me because I have a sore hip. But it was fantastic. And I shockingly was not that sore the next day, which was fantastic as well. So I think that's all of our adventures. It was most of the adventures anyway. There was a lot of sitting and relaxing and playing and just hanging out with my family and listening to April read stories and to the little girls, and it was just great. Not having to do anything and taking some time off was just exactly what I needed. But I will say I have the January fuzzies, as April calls them. April's my sister. I'm having a hard time focusing and getting back into the routine, and having the motivation to do anything has been really, really hard. But this is step 1, put podcast out. So I'm getting there, just slowly. Sorry. I'm still drinking my coffee, so it's, I have the little cough. So you can tell it's pretty early. It's like 9 o'clock in the morning, and the sun is just finally starting to get its butt out of bed. But it's very pretty right now. So, there's a podcast I wanted to mention. I was listening to it last night as Emmy and I were doing puzzles. It is, and I always forget about it, and then I never go to it first to listen to, but I'd finished another podcast, and then on iTunes it just, like it just starts the next podcast, right? And so Sweet Georgia show started playing. I'm sorry. And I'm listening to it and thinking, like, Felicia, you are amazing. You do such a good podcast. Felicia is the owner and operator of Sweet Georgia Yarns, and she has the Sweet Georgia Show podcast. It's audio, and it's great. She interviews all sorts of people. She just talks about stuff that's going on, and her voice is really calming and really relaxing. The episode that I really enjoyed, because of the timing in my life, and just the mind space that I was in last night, it was absolutely perfect. It was episode 39, and it's called The Gift of Time. And she just talks about how she balances Sweet Georgia and her family. She has 2 kids, which are little, like, I think she has a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old or something like that. So, like, full on little kids. And just kind of like the little tips and tricks that she shares in that podcast are really, really good. And it's super short. It's only like 14 minutes long or something, but worth listening to. The other one, I listened to another one of the Sweet Georges right after. I think it was 38. I'm pretty sure it's 38. It's when she interviews Isolde Teague. I have a super huge crush on Isolde Teague. She is amazing. She's the cutest person. I talked about this right after Knit City too, and I vowed not to call her cute, but she's adorable. She's so put together, and she's so clever and witty and just really fun to listen to. And I really want to make one of her Fair Isle vests, and I'm really scared to. I was looking at patterns again last night. I'm really scared to, but I really want to try. So I'm going to put together some fingering scraps and see if I can come up with the yarn that I would need for one, and then potentially start it. We'll see. That's going to be intense because steeking's involved, and I've never done steeking, and that's terrifying. So we'll see. So go check out Sweet Georgia. Not Sweet Georgia, Felicia, and the Sweet Georgia podcast, because it's fantastic. Okay, we're going to do For the Love of Trees, and I'm going to try really, really hard to be a good reader. This week's For the Love of Trees comes from this book, The Hidden Life of Trees. I picked this up at Delish General Store when I was in Vancouver for Knit City. And by the way, this picture is amazing. This is my bookmark right now. Yeah, amazing. My child's hilarious. Okay, ready? Grab your tea, knitting, whatever you have. It is Chapter 3, Social Security. Gardeners often ask me if the trees they are growing are too close together. They won't deprive each other of light and water? This concern comes from the forestry industry. In commercial forests, trees are supposed to grow thick trunks and be harvest ready as quickly as possible. And to do that, they need lots of space and large, symmetrical, rounded crowns. In regular 5-year cycles, any supposed competition is cut down so that the remaining trees are free to grow. Because these trees will never grow old, they are destined for the sawmill when they are only about 100. Isn't it amazing that that's a young tree? Only about 100. The negative effects of this management practice are barely noticeable. What negative effects? Doesn't it sound logical that a tree will grow better if its bothersome competitors are removed so that there's plenty of sunlight available for its crown and plenty of water for its roots? And for trees belonging to different species, that is indeed the case. They really do struggle with each other for local resources. But it's different for trees of the same species. I've already mentioned that beeches are capable, obviously previously in the book, are capable of friendship that go as far as to feed each other. It is obviously not in a forest's best interest to lose its weaker members. If that were to happen, it would leave gaps that would disrupt the forest's sensitive microclimate with its dim light and high humidity. If it weren't for the gap issue, every tree could develop freely and lead its own life. I say could because beeches, at least, seem to get a great deal of store by sharing resources. Students at the Institute of Environmental Research at RWTH, Aiken, I don't know where that is, discovered something amazing about photosynthesis in undisturbed beech forests. Apparently, the trees synchronize their performance so that they are all equally successful. And that is not what one would expect. Each beech tree grows in a unique location, and its conditions vary greatly in just a few yards. The soil can be stony or loose, it can retain a great deal of water or almost no water, it can be full of nutrients or extremely barren. Accordingly, each tree experiences different growing conditions. Therefore, each tree grows more quickly or more slowly and produces more or less sugar or wood. And thus you would expect every tree to be photosynthesizing at a different rate. And that's what makes this research so astounding. The rate of photosynthesis is the same for all trees. The trees, it seems, are equalizing differences between the strong and the weak. Whether they are thick or thin, all members of the same species are using light to produce the same amount of sugar per leaf. This equalization is taking place underground through the roots. There's obviously a lively exchange going on down there. Whoever has an abundance of sugar hands some over. Whoever is running short gets help. Once again, fungi are involved. Their enormous networks act as
gigantic redistribution mechanisms. It's a bit like the way social security system operates to ensure individual members of the society don't fall too far behind. In such a system, it is not possible for the trees to grow too close to each other. Quite the opposite. Huddling together is desirable, and the trunks are often spaced no more than 3 feet apart. Because of this, the crowns remain small and cramped, and even many foresters believe this is not good for the trees. Therefore, the trees are spaced out through felling, meaning that supposedly excess trees are removed. However, colleagues from Lübeck in North Germany have discovered that a beech forest is more productive when the trees are packed together. A clear annual increase in biomass above all wood is proof that the health of the forest throng. When trees grow together, nutrients and water can be optimally divided among them so that all the trees can grow into the best tree it can be. If you help individual trees by getting rid of their supposed competition, the remaining trees are bereft. They sent messages out to their neighbors in vain because nothing remains but stumps. Every tree now muddles along on its own, giving rise to differences in productivity. Some individualize photosynthesize like mad until sugar positively bubbles along their trunk. As a result, they are fit and grow better, but they aren't particularly long-lived. This is because a tree can only be as strong as the forest that surrounds it, and there are now a lot of losers in the forest. Weaker numbers who would once have been supported by the stronger ones suddenly fall behind. Whether the reason for their decline is their location or a lack of nutrients by passing malaise? I don't know what that word means. Or genetic makeup, they now fall prey to insects and fungi. But isn't that how evolution works, you ask? The survival of the fittest? Trees would just shake their heads, or rather their crowns. Their well-being depends on their community, and when the supposed feeble trees disappear, the others lose as well. When that happens, the forest is no longer a single closed unit. Hot sun and swirling winds can now penetrate the forest floor and disrupt the moist, cool climate. Even strong trees get sick a lot over the course of their lives. When this happens, they depend on their weaker neighbors for support. If they're no longer there, then all it takes is what would once have been a harmless insect attack to seal the fate of even the giants. I'm almost done, don't worry. In former times, I myself instigated the exceptional case of assistance. In my first years as a forester, I had young trees girdled. In this process, strips of bark 3 feet wide is removed all around the trunk to kill the tree. This hurts my heart even just reading that sentence. Basically, this is a method of thinning where trees are not cut down, but desiccated trunks remain as standing deadwood in the forest, which is good because then they can use it as habitat, trees, critters, and stuff in the forest. However, don't kill trees. Even though the trees are still standing, they make more room for living trees because their leafless crowns allow a great deal of light to reach their neighbors. Do you think this method sounds brutal? I think it does, because death comes slowly over a few years. Therefore, in the future, I wouldn't manage a forest this way. I observe how hard it is. I observed how hard the beeches fought, and amazingly enough, how some of them survive to this day. In the normal course of events, such survival would not be possible, because without the bark, the tree cannot transport sugars from its leaves to its roots. As the roots starve, they shut down their pumping mechanisms, and because water no longer flows through the trunk and up to the crown, the whole tree dries out. However, many trees I girdled continued to grow with more or less vigor. I know now that this was only possible with the help of an intact neighboring trees. Thanks to the underground network, neighbors took over the disrupted task of provisioning the roots and thus made it possible for their buddies to survive. Some trees even managed to bridge the gap in their bark with new growth, and I'll admit it, I am always a bit ashamed when I see what I wrought back then. Nevertheless, I have learned from this just how powerful a community of trees can be. A chain is only as strong as its weakest link. Trees could have come up with this old craft person's saying, and because they know this intuitively, they do not hesitate to help each other out. Now, when I read that, it made me think about our knitting community as well, how much we help each other, and how it is so crucial that we just take everybody's situations into account and help each other out. So I don't do New Year's resolutions. I think they're kind of lame, and honestly, I don't need any more guilt in my life for for not doing something or not following through with a goal. So my goals are usually very small if I have them at all. That sounded terrible, but you know what I mean. But one thing I am going to try and do this year is I am going to try to contribute to other podcasts a little bit more, whether it be through donating money, like whatever way some podcasts do it that way, or donating for prizes, or just commenting on the videos or whatever. So that's something I'm going to do. I don't know. It's not going to be a lot. I'm not going to be sending something to everyone, but I'm just going to try a little bit harder to share what I do have with our community. So that's it, for the love of trees. Community is important. Let's talk about knitting. 27 minutes in. Are you all bored? I'm going to turn the truck back on because I really don't want my phone to die of cold, because that's a thing with iPhones. Hopefully the sound of the engine isn't really loud. I know I don't have my seatbelt on. Relax. The brake light is not actually low. Welcome to Lone Larch Podcast. Chaos at all times. So I have about 1,000 FOs, except I don't have any of them, except this one, I think. This is the Wellington by Jane Richmond. My friend Kate wanted to make this toque, has wanted to make this toque for a very long time, so I said, after Christmas knitting is all done, let's do a knit along. So we did, and it was like a 3-day knit along. Not really, it was like a week. But it was so fast, and it was really fun. So, I really like mine. This is the Wellington by Jane Richmond. Pardon me. And the yarn that I used is my very first Mad Tosh yarn that I've ever used, in the Found Pottery colorway. Do you like my pom-pom? I'm not totally happy with it. I don't know if you could even see that. But I used glue in it, like every 10 wraps or something. I put a line of, what's it called? Hot glue across it, and then I kept wrapping. And it did make it a little bit heavier, but it is stable. Like there's no little bits and pieces that are going to come out of it. So very happy with that. That's one of my FOs. Another one of my FOs are the socks that I made for Chris. I'm going to put some pictures in because I have loads of pictures, but I don't actually have the objects. The Weasley Homestead socks that I made for Chris out of a Rock and a Tree yarn in the Camp Out colorway. I thoroughly enjoyed making these socks. They were very stressful because I didn't know if they were going to fit him. They fit him perfectly. He loves them. He wears them. So happy. They worked out. And I have discovered that I don't necessarily like a vanilla sock as much as I thought I did. I really enjoyed doing a patterned sock. So I've started doing some more patterned socks. Stay tuned. Another thing that I finished was a cowl for Kathy. Kathy's my mother-in-law. When we moved her from Campbell River to here, she chose some yarn that made her think of Campbell River. And I've had it for like 6 months. And I haven't done anything with it. So I decided that I was just going to whip up this cowl, and it went very fast. It was made out of Barocco Gusto, which is bulky, in the colorway 1942. And it's only 70 yards. And I just kind of made the pattern up. I can't even remember what I did. It's kind of like a basket weave where you do like a 2x2 and then you switch it to 2x2 rib. And then the next 2 or 3 rows you switch it so that the knits stack on the pearls and the pearls stack on the knits. Fit Emmy perfectly. And now she wants one too, obviously. Shocking. She wants all the knitted goods, but she never wears them. What else did I finish? Oh, my Mud Punch socks. I do actually have these ones. They have been worn and they have been washed, and they are glorious. What is that? That is just a tail that popped out. So let's look at this side instead. This is Mud Punch in the colorway In Particular. I really enjoyed doing these socks. The pattern I used was Susan B. Anderson's Smooth Operator socks. Very well written pattern. Very well written pattern. Susan B. Anderson you are amazing. And I also have a huge crush on you. Aren't they great? They're still actually a bit damp. They just came out of the wash yesterday, or last night. So those are done and in my drawer, being worn. Emmy's mitts. Okay, so I made Emmy some mitts. Please tell me I put them in here. Pretty sure I did. Emmy's mitts. Oh, here they are, right in front of my face. So I made these troll hair mitts. She has worn them outside a couple times, like playing in the snow. And I'm sure this is a normal thing, but this drives me crazy. Look how much of the roving has pulled out now. I know it's all gonna felt in and it'll be nice and happy, but they're not pretty anymore. Whatever, she loves them. They fit her hands perfectly. She was super pumped. They were in her stocking, and I told her that Mrs. Claus made them for her. She thought that was pretty cool. So the pattern I used was Toasty Mitts. Lara sent it to me, so I don't know where. I'm sure it's on Ravelry somewhere. Toasty Mitts. And I used, the blue was Barocco Vintage, just that I had in my stash, the worsted. And then the roving I used was Wacky Windmill. Is that right? Yes. Wacky Windmill roving. I'm pretty sure it's 100% merino. Might have nylon in it too, I can't remember. I think it's just 100% merino. But those were really fun to make. Kind of a pain in the butt, but fun to make, and she loves them. They fit her hands just perfectly. So that was a win. What else did I make? This is all Christmas knitting, can you tell? I made Jared some slippers. I never knit for Jared because he either loses it, doesn't wear it, or loses it, or doesn't wear it. I'm just thinking of all of the toques that I've made him that are sitting in his bin not being worn. Anyway, so I decided I needed to come up with something. I didn't want to make him socks because he wears through socks so fast. I didn't want to put all the energy into it. So I made him a pair of slippers and he loves them. He wore them all Christmas. He even took them with us to my parents and wore them at my parents' house and wears them in our house pretty much every night. So I won on that one. The pattern I used was the Better Dorm Boots, the men's size one. There's a women's size and a men's size. So depending on what size of feet you have, you can pick. The yarn that I used was stuff I had in my stash, Knit Picks Wool of the Andes. I had the gray, I held double, that was worsted. And then the red was Wool of the Andes bulky. So I just held that single, obviously. And they worked out really well. I really enjoyed the construction of them. I would definitely make them again. I'd like to make myself some, but I have like 4 pairs of slippers and I can't justify making more slippers for me. So that was a huge win. That was fantastic. I was so excited how well they fit him and how much he's already worn them. And they haven't worn out yet, which is good. That's a valid concern for me. Yes, 2 weeks ago, and I'm still concerned that they would have worn out. He's very hard on clothing. And then my Wellington. I've worn it pretty much every day since I finished it. I love it. So that's all my FOs. Now I have a hoe, which is right here. I have half a sock. No, I don't. I have a full sock. Dad socks. Dad socks. You may remember these. I had to tear this one apart because the sizing was wrong. So I did. I tore it apart and redid it. This is Regia, Arnie, and Carlos. I just watched Lara from The Fawn and the Fox yesterday, her newest podcast. She is making Michael socks with this exact same colorway. And it was interesting to see how her patterning turned out and how my patterning turned out because she has significantly less stitches. I think she only does 64, 68 for Michael socks, and these ones are 72s. So the patterning just changes slightly. So I did my rounded toe, and then the heel I did, I think is also called the rounded heel, from Sock Architecture, the Sock Architecture book. I need to keep an eye on the time so I don't forget my child. Now, Ramona on Fire, she asked about my rounded toe, and if I had written it wrong. It is supposed to be knit through the front and the back, and then knit across, and then to the last 2 stitches, and then knit through the front and the back, and then knit the last stitch. And the reason it's that way is so that there's a knit stitch at the end and a knit stitch at the beginning, and then the increase is on the inside of that. I hope that makes sense, Ramona, but if you look at the side of this, you should see 2 knit stitches running through the middle. Yeah, I can see it. I hope you can see it. 2 knit stitches running, like making that pretty line, and then all the increases are on either side of that. So it's not written incorrectly, that's right. And I had to, well, not really, I didn't have to think about that when I was designing it, but it has to be offset like that, or else you won't have another knit stitch on, or you'll have 2 knit stitches and then the increase, and then the increase, and then 1 knit stitch. So you have to do that in order for it to work out. I have started the second one. I started it last night so that I wouldn't lose momentum. So that's on the go. And that's the yarn, if you've seen it in a skein. The other color I'm using, the toe and the cuff, is just a it's just a tan Regia. I found it in exactly the same spot as the Regia yarn. It's all the same stuff, just a solid. So that's on the go. I'm also making Emmy socks. I'm going to show you this right now because it's magical. Look at this bag that Marissa sent me. Isn't it gorgeous? I love it so much. If you want to know who made it, send me a message, because I don't want to go sifting through all of this to find. Never mind, I just found it. This is the person that made it. Hopefully you can read that. Zoe'sBagBoutique.com. She lives in Colorado. I love it. There's pockets on the outside, there's pockets on the inside. I don't know if you can see it, but the black line is the top of the pocket, and there's different size pockets all the way through it. I adore it. I've had a project in it since I got it. I just love it. So these are socks for Emmy. This is a pattern I just made up. I think it might be the blueberry waffle sock pattern, but I'm not totally sure. It's just a knit 2, purl 2, rib for 1 row, and then knit 2 rows. And then knit 2, purl 2, rib, and then knit 2 rows. It's fantastic. And tiny little fish lips kiss heel. The yarn that I am using is Yarn Ink. I got this specifically for Emmy because she loves the color purple. The purple is called the Royal colorway, and this is a mini that I got at Knit City as well. Yarn Ink, and it is called Jazz. I love the way these are turning out. And they're so fast because they're so tiny. She wants to try them on like every 2 rows, and I just keep telling her, just wait. If you wait and let me do a little bit, then there'll actually be a change in the sock instead of it looking exactly the same every time you try it on. That's the yarn, that's the Jazz. And I'm not gonna pull out the other one because it's like shoved in there just perfectly. So yeah, that's Yarn Ink. See Emmy's tiny little foot? Where's the tags? I don't know where they are, but you know who Yarn Ink is. YarnInk.com. She's rad. Simple as that. And what else do I have? Emmy socks. Oh, I'm working on a power pole scarf. That's not really interesting. It's just super ugly yarn, red, and it's terrible yarn, and I'm just making a new wrap for the power pole that's in front of our house because it's fun, and the old one's all faded. So I'll show you that when it's all done. I'll put a picture up. What is coming up? Bernadette from Wet Coast Wools is talking about doing a poppy display for Remembrance Day next year. And she was doing the math. She has to make like 300 poppies or something like that. So my sister and I have decided that we're going to start making poppies with her and send them to her. So I went and got some Patton's cotton the other day, and I'm gonna start making poppies, just whatever random pattern you can find, and just make a whole handful and then start sending them to Bernadette so that she doesn't have to make 300 poppies, because that's a lot of poppies. So if you want to join along, just send her a message, and all she's going to say is make whatever poppies you want, and she will appreciate it, because that's a lot. Okay, so the other thing I really, really want to make, and I have to use my willpower so much not to buy the yarn for this. I want to make the Fireside Pullover by Jane Richmond so badly. It's out of Eco Wool, and I actually found it last night on Yarn Canada with shipping, because I have free shipping over $35. Yes! For $57. So I think I can make the Fireside Pullover for $57. I'm gonna try. Unless anybody has it in stash and they want to get rid of it, I will buy it from them. As long as with shipping, you're willing to charge me the same or under that, because my budget is very limited right now. So I'm looking for, I can't remember what the colorway was, but it's just whatever, like it's a heathery gray. I don't care if it's the light one or the dark one. I haven't decided yet, and I'm really not that picky. I just want it to be gray, and I want to make it so bad because it's going to knit up so fast, and I'm tired of knitting with fingering weight. So I'm excited for that. That's all. Okay, for Project Whip, I did draw a winner. I didn't completely drop off the face of the earth with that. I read through all of the posts. There was 178 posts. And Emmy helped me draw last night. Well, she helped me put the numbers in Random Generator last night. And number 104 was the winner. And it's Jane's Adventures and Dinner! Yay! Jane, you have one from me before, and it's not a big deal to me, but if you want to pass this prize on to someone else, just send me a message. If you don't want it and you want the prize, that's totally fine too. You are not being a greedy person. You won straight, fair, whatever. Send me a message, and I'll get your address, and I'll let you know what the prize is, because it's going to be, I'm just doing one prize, and it's going to be kind of a collaboration between a couple of people. So, Jane, you won! Yay! Send me a message. There were so many Project Whip, there were so many whips posted. It was insane how many things people were getting through. Most people had between like 3 and 6 projects that they were posting. So it's awesome that you guys are getting all that stuff off the needles, and I'm very close to that too, which is really exciting. Getting everything off so you can start fresh. That's done. For the shop, I just wanted to say once again, like I did last time, this winter I am just making bags as I have time for it and have the mind space for it, and then putting them into the shop, and then putting it up on Instagram announcing that they're there. So if you're wondering when an update is, it's probably not, it's not going to be a specific time. It's just whenever I have enough to put an announcement up, essentially. If I have like 3 or 4, then I usually put them in the shop and then put an announcement up. If there is anything that you see that I have made recently and you would like one of those bags, feel free to send me a message, and I'll make you whatever size you want. Totally. My schedule is very flexible right now, so I'm up for making you what you like and what you see. So send me a message if you're interested. Thank you so much, everyone that has bought bags. I appreciate your business so very much. And all of the reviews and all the messages that I've been getting. Like tears to my eyes. That's what it does to me. It just makes me feel so good. So thanks. And the last thing I have to show you is some things that I got. Hopefully my phone doesn't die or run out of batteries, or that grater doesn't run into me. I received a package from Marissa, who is, I don't know, Rissa Ty, I think, on Instagram. Her name's Marissa and she's awesome. She sent me the most amazing package, actually, like the day after I recorded the last podcast. But she sent me this bag and a bunch of little odds and sods like cookies, tea. What else did you send? I can't remember. This yarn. Isn't it beautiful? This is Expression Fiber Arts. I've been watching her for so long. She's one of the first people that I actually followed on Instagram. The colorway is Emerald Springs Resilient Superwash Merino sock. It just says 400 yards. It doesn't say what the Superwash Merino. So I assume it's a Superwash Merino nylon blend. I'm not 100% sure. But isn't that beautiful? I don't know why you guys think I like green or like blues and stuff. My color palette. Well, look at me today. My color palette's pink and whatever. I love them. I love it so much. So no idea what I'm going to do with it, but I have cuddled it quite a bit. And thank you so much. Getting these packages in the mail just blow my mind. And it's so funny when I show Jared, because I'm all pumped, right? I showed Jared, look what I got in the mail. Like, can you even believe it? And I'm almost in tears. And he's like, people just send you this stuff? Yeah, they just send it to me and I don't even know, and it's amazing. And I just turned into a complete idiot. But good grief, I just appreciate it so much. So, I got just kidding. Space issues. So, I got a package from Courtney like 2 days ago. Tears in my eyes. She sent me one of these. It's a camera that I can use to do a little bit better of a tree climb with you guys and record a video of it. I'm gonna put it on my helmet so that you guys can see the world, what I see when I climb a tree. I could not believe it. She said she just doesn't use it. She's never used it, so she thought she'd send it to me so that I could use it. So thank you for your technology garbage, Courtney, because it's awesome. I'm gonna give it a go and you guys will all see how it all works out. She also sent me some tea from Silk Road, which is a tea shop in Victoria, BC. That's where she's from. Is that a lie? No, she's from Victoria. Yeah. And can you tell? She also sent me this. You want to know something funny? I almost came home with this when I was at the Sweet Georgia warehouse when we were there during Knit City. I almost brought this colorway home, but I couldn't justify it because I just finished a project, 2 projects actually, that had a main color of white and then like a speckle or just a slight color in it too. So I thought, no, I gotta get something that's different than what I've been working on. So I put this one back and that was it. You know my taste. You know my taste. Isn't that glorious? Look at that. It's not quite that neon, but it's pretty bright. It's fantastic. It's Sweet Georgia Tough Love Sock, 80 Superwash Merino, 20 nylon, 125 yards. And the colorway is Mirror Pond. Happiness. Happiness in a skein. Happiness in a skein. You guys are the best. I appreciate this so much. So very much. That is all. I'm gonna go get my child and talk to one of the gymnastics teachers and get everything sorted out so I actually know what's happening. Oh my good grief. I'll explain it to you next time because it's just too fresh in my mind and I'm super ragey about it. So, did you notice the tamaracks? There's a little shelter belt right here of tamaracks. Aren't they pretty? Tamarack is the native larch tree. It's the same, it's in the same family. Isn't it pretty? It just kind of looks like sticks and cones, but I love it. Whatever. I love you guys. See you soon. Thanks for watching. I promise it won't take me a month to come back again. Love you. Mwah. Big kiss. Bye.